Thank you very much for coming. I'm Chloe Garner. I'm the Artistic Director of Ledbury Poetry Festival, and I'm delighted to welcome you to this Versopolis event as part of the first ever online Ledbury Poetry Festival. So it's a momentous occasion. I'm soon going to hand over to Kim Moor, who will host this event. But first, some housekeeping. So I'd like to say thank you to the Arts Council of England for their support. This is a challenging time for festivals and people who organise events, as I'm sure a lot of you know, and all our events for this online festival are free, but actually we earn our money as a festival through our box office income. So if you do feel able to donate, we'll put a link to tell you how to do that, and it would be lovely if you could, if you feel you could donate. We've also got an audience survey, which it would be lovely if you could fill that in for us. So before I hand over to Kim, I'd just like to say a few words about Versopolis, for anyone who's not aware of what it is. So Versopolis is a Creative Europe funded scheme to promote emerging poets and to translate and publish their work. And I'm grateful to Glenn Storhaug of 5 Seasons Press, who edits and publishes the chapbooks for us. And you can find those online on the festival website, and they will be printed as well in the autumn. So if you would like a physical version of the chapbook, we'll put an email into the chat so that you can let us know, and we'll post you a chapbook, because they really are lovely items to have and to read and keep. So Ledbury Poetry Festival is a founder member of the Versopolis platform, and as part of that we've been able to nominate many UK poets onto the platform, some of whom are here today, so that's lovely to see the other Versopolis poets here, and that's enabled UK poets to perform at festivals across the continent, and obviously for us then also to welcome Versopolis poets to Ledbury Poetry Festival, which has been a brilliant part of the festival. It's become a really much loved event in our festival. So Kim Moor, who's hosting this event, is a Versopolis poet, and so it's great that she's been happy to come and host the event for us. And as a result of Versopolis, Kim told me that she's been translated into several languages, which is brilliant. So it's really a great programme. I'll just introduce Kim Moor to you. So Kim Moor is definitely one of the UK's much loved poets. Her first collection, The Art of Falling, is published by Seren and won the Geoffrey Faber Memorial Prize. And her poem from that collection in that year was shortlisted for a Forward Prize, and Kim Moor has also won many other awards. Kim has been a judge for the National Poetry Competition and is also one of the judges for the 2020 Forward Prize, which is a really significant event in the UK's poetry calendar. So thank you very much, Kim, for agreeing to host this event, and I'm very happy now to hand over to Kim.
Thanks, Chloe, for that nice introduction. I'm really excited to be introducing the 4 poets who are part of Versopolis. Really excited to be here online. Sad not to be there in Ledbury in person, but this is definitely the next best thing. And I'm really glad the festival's pulled this together. So I'm going to be introducing Sigurbjörg Thrastardóttir, Sigurbjörg from Iceland, Paata Shamugia from Georgia, Franca Mancinelli from Italy, and Maarten Inghals from Belgium. The format of the event, we're going to hear a few poems from each poet in turn, both in their original language and in translation, and then I'll be asking the poets a few questions as we go along. But if you have any questions for the poets, if you put them in the chat, and we'll see if we can fit them in at the end, if they're exciting questions. If the questions can be about poetry vaguely, not just about life and, you know, advice on life in general, but poetry questions, that would be good. So we're going to start with Sigurbjörg. She's the author of 8 poetry collections, a couple of novels and a few staged plays. Her poetry cycle, Torch Marches, was nominated for the Nordic Council Literature Prize in 2009 and subsequently published in German and Swedish. Her poetry is widely translated for readings and anthologies in Europe and beyond. She is also the translator of Simon Armitage's poetry collection, From Where We Stand, and I know some people managed to get into the launch today with Simon Armitage reading, which is going to be tomorrow. It's going to be shown tomorrow as well, isn't it? 11:30. If you didn't manage to get in today, so that, I thought that was quite a nice link between the two events. I think her Sigurbjörg's work is just fantastic. There's a dry humour running through a lot of the poems. She has a beautiful use of the lyric line in her work, and the imagery is always surprising. I think you're going to really enjoy her reading. I'll leave Sigurbjörg to mention her translators' names, because there's 3 or 4 people that have worked on the different translations, isn't there? So I'm going to hand over to Sigurbjörg now.
Thank you. Hi. I'm speaking from Reykjavik in Iceland. I'm very happy to see. I didn't know I was able to see the faces of the audience, but I ran through them. It's quite amazing. I thought they would be like nameless and faceless ears, but it's very nice. Thank you, Kim. Yes, it's the translations are made by the late Bernard Scudder, and then also by Sarah Brownsberger, and then a few by myself with the help of Pétur Knudsen. So that was a bit of, it's from different eras, I should mention. I'm just going to read, right? I'm not going to sit here or stand here chatting away. I will read the first one first in Icelandic. It's called Útvatna. Í ákveðnum bjarma undir baðljósinu ég tekin eins og langamma mín sem átti 8 börn á þessum aldri og var hress. 9. barnið dó úr berflumum. Ég hlusta á Joan Baez úr varðplötinu úr stofu og dýpka hrukkurnar til gamans. Ég veit að þessi dalir undir augunum koma úr fjallinu og við sveitakirkjuna ömmu minnar sem var hress, og ég maka á mig bláleitu kremi, mæli mér þverhandarbreiðan tannbráðarspotta úr glæru hulstri og slekk ljósið eins og hún hefði gert til að fara vel með. Wash out. In a certain glare under the bathroom light, I am haggard like my great-great-grandmother who had 8 children at this age and was swell. The 9th child died of tuberculosis. I listen to Joan Baez from a metal object in the living room and dramatize my wrinkles for fun, because I know these dales beneath my eyes are from the mountain above the country church of my grandmother who was swell, and I smear myself with bluish creams, measure a dental floss the size of my palm from a lucid case, and put out the light like she would have done to skin. This one is called My Breasts, and I think I will I will skip the Icelandic version. It doesn't really make sense. But you will know these, most of those words from music. But I am applying them to my breasts and anyone's breasts for that matter. Allegro, non troppo. Adagio, non troppo. Allegretto grazioso, piano, diminuendo, a piacere, allegro con spirito, tenuto, agitato, grave, presto ma non assai, leggermente crescento, con slancio, fortissimo, grandioso, larghetto, quasi andantino, allattante, mezzo forte, staccato, affettuoso, legato, giocoso, vivace, forte, meno mosso, amabile, alla marcia, quick but not too quick, slow but not too slow, pretty lively with grace, soft, gradually softer, at pleasure, fast and spirited, held, restless, solemn, very quick but not extremely, lightly growing, with enthusiasm, very strong, magnificent, rather broadly, as if at walking speed, suckling, moderately strong, detached, affectionate, bound, merry, brisk, strong, less movement, pleasantly, on the march, dolente, mournful. I didn't put my clock to work. I had the clock, but one more short in English. Kim, what do you think?
Yeah, definitely.
Home delivery. A man comes cycling into my living room, big-eared and dripping riot oil, big-nosed and ripped pant legs, dismounts from his bike, big mouth, but doesn't say a word. An oil slick on the floor. Maybe I've stopped understanding people, but what does this man want? I consider offering him apple juice. Then he ruins the silence, squint-eyed, looks around and says, yes, did you order a revolution? All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
It's fantastic. I nearly forgot that my sound was on, so you could hear me giggling at your breasts poem. Yeah, I think that's one of my favorite ones of yours. I've just had a look at the Versopolis at the chapbook. So did you write that originally in Italian and then you translated it into Icelandic and then it was translated into English?
Yes, I think I did. Yeah.
That was great.
They're all they're pretty much official translations, because I think in all languages they have official translations of these words. But there's one, of course, that is not found in the music vocabulary. So it's like a quiz, like which one, but you can guess. Yeah,
brilliant. Thank you. And I just wanted to ask you a question about the process of translation, because you've worked with 3 or 4 translators just on this small section of poems, but I know you translate some of your own work as well. And I was wondering, firstly, how you decide whether to do it yourself or to work with someone else, and then secondly, whether there were words or particular things in the poems that ended up being untranslatable into English.
Yes, I'm not supposed to translate my own work into English, because English is not my language. I mean, English. I just have English from Hollywood films or something, but I only do it out of necessity when there is no time. I don't know, I have to hand in a selection and there is no one who I can turn to. Also because Bernard Scudder was my translator, and a lot of people used his great talent, but he passed away many years ago. So after that, I haven't really had like a translator that I can turn to like at all times. So I've had a few, but they're very good, but they're also busy. So sometimes I just need to do it myself, and then I'm not comfortable until I have someone read it through. And then Peter Knudsen has been doing that. So it's a bit of a mess. I'm sorry about the translations that I made myself, but it's just for...
I think they're great. I think they translate... I don't think you can tell which ones.
Well, I don't know. But I don't know about words. It's, I mean, Bernard was the guy who, he always chose, when I handed him a selection and I said, well, you can translate whatever feels translatable for you, maybe 7 out of 15 or something. He always chose the most difficult ones. And with word plays in Icelandic, I couldn't believe it, but he always loved the challenge. But I don't know, but we had a conversation, I had a conversation with Glenn, who was editing the chapbook about the Cold Shiver Oil, which is the title of one of the poems. And he immediately understood that it was supposed to be like a war play on cod liver oil, but it's called Cold Shiver Oil. So that was like a way we found to translate the wordplay in Icelandic. So yeah, there are lots of, I mean, it's endless. It's like Sudoku all the time, but it's fun.
Do you find it, you know, you said you don't feel comfortable with your own translations until you've given them to someone else to read.
Mm-hmm.
Do you find that useful if you give someone, does it have to be someone who has English as a first language, but Icelandic as well, or can it be just an English reader?
Well, mostly the person has to have English as his mother tongue, I would say. That's the case with Peter Knudsen, but he's been living here for like 40 years or 50 years or something. Yeah, it depends. Maybe the person doesn't really have to have Icelandic as a second or third language, but it helps. But mostly that it sounds convincing in English is the key. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So I could sit and talk about translation for the next 2 hours, but we'll move on to the next poet. Thank you for that beautiful reading. There's lots of silent clapping going on, and some nice messages in the chat as well. So the next poet is Paata Shamugia, who was born in 1983 in the northern part of Georgia, now occupied by Russia. He's one of the most influential and provocative contemporary Georgian poets. In 2015, he was the first Georgian poet to receive the prestigious Saba Literary Prize twice. His poems always, I've read the pamphlet over the last few days, and I felt like his poetry seemed to have a secret smile on its lips a lot of the time. They're subversive, startling, this sense of irony running through them, and I can't wait to hear him read and to hear the Georgian language, which I've never heard spoken before. So please welcome. We can welcome. We can kind of hold our arms out wide or clap very loudly but silently. So please welcome Paata Shamugia.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Thank you for inviting me, for having me at the Ledbury Festival. I'm very glad and honored. So yeah, on the other hand, I'm sad when I don't hear any sound of applaud, but that's fine. By the way, I'm from post-Soviet country, as you know, and we used to have a very weird profession called clappers. And those people who clapped when, you know, some Stalin or some other guy had some speech in front of the audience. So such weird story from Soviet history. So should I start immediately or reading? Yeah. First Georgian, yeah? Okay. ლიტერატურა და ტექნოლოგიები. კამილო ხოსე სელას არაჩვეულებრივი რომანი მოვიქნიე და ღამის პეპელა კედელზე მივასრისე. ლიტერატურა თანდათან პრაქტიკული ხდება. ტექნოლოგიები, დიახ, ისინი მუდმივად ცდილობენ ლიტერატურის ჩაჩოჩებას iPhone-ი წიგნზე კარგია ხელში დასაჭერად. თითქოს მტევნის ფორმებს ნებდება, მაგრამ კამილო ხოსე სელა, ნუ დავუკარგავთ, უფრო კარგად კლავს პეპელას. ოდესღაც ლაშა ნადარეიშვილის რბილფულცლიანი წიგნებით შევდიოდი საფირფარეშოში, მე ისეთი ფუმფულა ტუალეტის ქაღალდები გამოიგონეს, ღმერთო დალოცე მაღალი ტექნოლოგიები. რომ სრულიად გამოუსადეგარი გახდა ბატონი ლაშას წიგნები. საწყენია მესმის, მაგრამ რას გააწყო? ტექნოლოგიები მტრობენ ლიტერატურას. არაფერი დაეწუნება ბოშის მაცივარს გაცილებით კარგად დააციებს, ვიდრე მაგალითად კამილო ხოსე სელა, მაგრამ პასკუალე დუარტეს ოჯახით. პეპლების მთელი ოჯახის გაუნებელყოფა შეიძლება. აი სად არის მისი ძალა პრაქტიკაში, დესტრუქციაში. ვინი ფიქრებდა? ჭირის უფალივით დავყურებ პეპელას, რომელიც კარგმა ლიტერატურამ იმსხვერპლა. და ვფიქრობ, რომ ჩვენ ახლა გაცილებით კარგად გვესმის ერთმანეთის. Now in English. Literature and technology. And sorry for my bad pronunciation. I heard a great novel by Camilo José Cela. It denied butterfly, smashing it against the wall. Got it? Step by step, literature becomes practical, while technology tries to somehow take its place. The iPhone fits the hand better, seems to have surrendered to the shape of fingers. Well, let's not behave as ungrateful people, but Camilo José Cela, we have to confess, is better at killing butterflies. Once I used to bring a paperback edition of Lashana Dareshvili to the bathroom, but then the super soft toilet paper appeared, God bless high-tech, and his books became useless. That's pity, but what to do? That's how technology deals with literature. I have nothing against my fridge from Bosch. It freezes better than, say, Camilo José Cela, but to be honest, with a book titled The Family of Pascual Duarte, you can thoroughly ruin a complete family of butterflies. Look, this is where its power lies, in practice, in destruction. Who would expect that? I'm looking at the butterfly right now, like a speechless mourner. It seems to have become the sacrifice of great literature. I think we might be able to understand each other better now, me and the butterfly. Is it enough?
Enough?
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, no, is that enough poetry?
Yeah.
Could you read one more?
Yeah,
sure. I think we've got time for one more. Sorry.
Yeah.
I was still in the world of your poem. I was sitting there like.
Yeah. Okay. Let me take a look. In both languages or just English? Maybe just English.
Okay.
Will be fine. Yeah. Okay. Just a moment, please. Just a moment. Okay. This small poem can be more suitable. From truisms to be memorized by heart. I am criticized for being a radical author, attacking the musicality of the poem, and what do I do with delicate movement of the hand, point out where to stick their musical poems? That's shortly.
That's brilliant. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
That's great. Thank you. I'm just going to ask a question now. If anyone's downloaded the PDFs already, you might have read this in the introduction to Paata's pamphlet, that there were calls in the Georgian parliament and other places for one of his books to be banned, which so I was wondering whether, just to ask about that, and whether you think poetry can or should be political, and can it affect social change?
I don't think that it's necessary. Poetry should necessarily be political. I think that there are some kind of poetry that are political, and there are some different poetry that are, quite indifferent toward politics. It depends on how we describe politics itself, because there are lots of description and definition of politics and poetry also. So it depends. If we consider politics as, just civic activity, then yes, poetry is part of the civic activity. And it can influence some people, can trigger some small changes. I don't think that it can change some political landscape.
Mm. Yeah, I'm just looking in the chat part, and there's lots of requests for another poem, and people want to hear both languages as well. They want their money's worth, even though it was a free event, but they're like, no, make him read in both languages.
Okay.
So could we hear that the one you just read about the sticking the poem up there in Georgian?
Sorry. In Georgian? Okay.
Yeah, and then maybe another poem in both.
It's Truistuli საზეპიროებიდან. მეუბნებიან, რომ რადიკალური ავტორი ვარ, რომ ლექსის კეთილხმოვანებას ვაანგრევ, მე ხელის ელეგანტური მოძრაობით ვუთითებ, თუ სახელდობრ სად უნდა შეიტენონ თავიანთი კეთილხმოვანი ლექსები. That's how it sounds in Georgian.
Thank you. Thanks. Thank you. And then could you do one more poem? Just to finish this section.
Sure. Okay.
In both languages, otherwise I'll be shouted at in the chat.
Okay. საქმიანი poeti. It's a busy poet. მიმოვდივარ ენაში უვიზოდ ვდებ საქმიან კონტრაქტს მნებთან და არსებით სახელებთან. შორისდებულებს შორის ვდებ ზავს, მე საქმიანი პოეტი ვარ. ვაწარმოებ დიპლომატიურ მოლაპარაკებებს ბინარულ ოპოზიციებთან ზმნის წინის უკამდგებით თავაზიანი ვარ, მაგრამ წარსულ დროს ზურგს ვაქცევ თავხედი. ფუძეს ვუსინჯავ საკუთარ თავს მყარად უნდა ვიდგე, მე საქმიანი პოეტი ვარ. ვხვეწ ურთიერთობის ფორმებს, ფორმაში ვარ ვაწესრიგებ ჩემი სხეულის, ჩამოქცეულ ინფრასტრუქტურას, დავრბივარ განტვირთვის მიზნით. პირველსავე შემთხვევით გოგოში ვდებ ჰორმონების ინვესტიციას, არაფერი პირადული, მხოლოდ ლექსი, მე საქმიანი პოეტი ვარ. ის, ვინც წლებით ცხოვრობდა მზაპასუხების ციხეში, ყველა ამნისტიით გამოუშვი დროა, ყველას მოგვისაჯოს მშვიდობა, დროა, ყველას მოგვესაჯოს სიყვარული, ახია ჩვენზე ნულოვანი ტოლერანტობა წვრილმან გატაცებებს, მე საქმიანი პოეტი ვარ. ვცდილობ აღმოვფხრა სეპარატიზმი, გაუცხოება ენასა და ადამიანს შორის, ის, ვინც ლაპარაკობს, ყოველთვის ტყუის, ვინც წერს კი მას კი მუდამ ამჟღავნებს. ის რასაც წერისას ტყუის, ჩემი ლექსები საშუალოა, ჩემი ლექსები უშუალო. And now in English. A busy poet. No visa is required from my language. I obtain business contracts from verbs and nouns. I use intermissions from interjections. I'm busy poet. I lead diplomatic negotiations with binary oppositions. I stand after prefix like a gentleman, but I turn a blind eye to the past, impudent. I check my base. I have to stand strong. I'm a busy poet. I practice all forms of interrelations. I'm in a shape. I rebuild the crumbled infrastructure of my body. I run. For leisure, I invest my hormones in the first girl I met. Oops, nothing personal, just poetry. I'm a busy poet. I set everyone free from a life in the prison of ready-made answers. It's time to be sentenced to peace. It's time to be sentenced to love with zero and wars. Zero tolerance for petty obsessions. I'm a busy poet. I try to eliminate the separatism, the separation of language and human beings. The one who speaks is always lying. The one who writes is always exposed by the lies he writes. My lies are ordinary. My poems, extraordinary. I'm a busy poet. Thank you.
I love those last 3 lines that my lies are ordinary, my poems are extraordinary. I'm a busy poet. I might get that tattooed.
Thank you.
I
it's
love that.
I think it's visible that I use just self-irony. I'm not that narcissistic. Just sometimes. Just sometimes.
No, it was great. It's I love that repeating line. I'm a busy poet keeps coming back. It's funnier every time. Thank you so much for that reading and for indulging us with reading the Georgian as well. So thank you so much. Okay, we're going to go on to the next poet, who is Franca Mancinelli from Italy. She's the author of 3 books of poetry, and her writing has been translated into several languages and published in journals and anthologies. I know this is her first time as taking part in the Versopolis platform, so welcome to the Versopolis experience. And we're sorry I'm sorry it's online and I'm not getting to meet you in person. But this is the good thing is that there's lots of people here that might not have got to come to the physical festival, so that's the kind of upside, I think. So I'm going to hand over to Franca now, and I'm going to read the English translations of your work. We're going to kind of do turn and turn about, aren't we? And if I read the wrong one or anything terrible, just scream and stop me.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm very happy to participate to the festival. I will read some poems from my 3rd book, Libretto di Transito, translated into English by John Taylor as The Little Book of Passage. Thank you, Kim, from reading it in English. Le frasi non compiute restano ruderi. C'è un intero paese in pericolo di crollo che stai sostenendo in te. Sai il dolore di ogni tegola, di ogni mattone. Un tonfo sordo nella radura del petto. Ci vorrebbe l'amore costante di qualcuno, un lavorare quieto che risuona nelle profondità del bosco. Tu che disfi la valigia, ti scordi di partire.
Unfinished sentences remain ruins. You're supporting inside yourself an entire village in danger of collapsing. You know the pain of every tile, every brick. A dull thud in the clearing of your chest. Perhaps it's someone's constant love, a calm chore resounding in the depths of the woods. You who are unpacking your suitcase, you forget to leave.
Nel tuo petto c'è una piccola faglia. Quando lo stringo o vi poso la testa, c'è questo soffio d'aria. Ha l'umidità dei boschi e l'odore della terra, le montagne vicine con i loro torrenti gelati. Da quando l'ho sentito, non posso fare a meno di riconoscerlo, anche quando, uno dopo l'altro, nella tua voce passano uccelli d'alta quota, segnando una rotta nel cielo limpido. La faglia è in te, si allarga. Un soffio di freddo ti attraversa le costole e ti sta scomponendo. Non hai più un orecchio, il tuo collo è svanito. Tra una spalla e l'altra si apre un buio popolato di fremiti, di richiami da ramo a ramo, su un pendio scosceso a dirotto, non attraversato da passi umani.
There is a small fault line in your chest. When I hug your chest or place my head on it, there is this puff of air. It has a woodsy moistness and an earthy smell to it. The nearby mountains with their frozen torrents. Ever since I have heard it, I cannot help but recognize it. Even when high soaring birds fly one after the other through your voice, marking out a route in the clear sky. The fault line is inside you. It is widening. A chilly gust of wind blows through your ribs and is decomposing you. You no longer have an ear. Your neck has vanished. Between one shoulder and the other, one opens a darkness peopled with shivers, with voices calling out from branch to branch, on a sheer slope uncrossed by human steps.
Thank you. These were two prose poems, and then I will read three short poems in verse that come from At an Hour's Leap From Here, translated by John Taylor and published by the Bitter Hollander Press. It is a book that collects my first book, Malacruna, and my second book, Pasta Madre, Mother Dough in English. Però ho sempre un amore che mi porta, come fossi il suo cane, strattona se mi fermo ad annusare queste mie gocce cupe prima del temporale.
But I always have a love that walks me as if I were its dog, yanking if I stop to sniff these dark drops of mine before the storm.
Leggo stesa, il libro sul torace è il mio terzo polmone che si apre e si richiude. Come un anfibio, stavo sulla sponda.
I read lying down. The book on my chest is my third lung, opening, closing again. Like an amphibian, I was on the shore.
Ho smesso di reggere i muri, donandomi ai crolli. Ricomincio, abbreviata, torno a quello che sono, una lucertola che si divide a metà con la morte.
I've stopped holding up walls, give myself over to the ruins. I'm starting up again, reduced, I return to what I am, a lizard that halves itself with death.
Yeah, thank you very much, Kim.
Thank you. That was absolutely beautiful reading, and it was lovely to read the poems as well. They feel really nice. I feel like the English translation feels effortless. I'm sure it wasn't. I've been, since I read your pamphlet yesterday and today, I've been haunted by that line. There's a fault line, the poem that starts, there's a fault line in your chest. And I was wondering if you could talk a little bit more about that, because your work's often concerned with the distance between things, between places, human beings, the movement of consciousness, the act of transformation. But there's a lot of, in your poems, there's a lot of transformation of the body into a landscape or into buildings that are often kind of crumbling. So I wondered if you could just talk a little bit about that theme in your work.
Yes, I think that our body is a landscape in which we are immersed, in which we live. And landscape is a part of us. It is our body. For me, writing offers the possibility of going through the identity we have in our existence, of going beyond our human contours and connecting ourselves to something bigger to which we belong. In this text from Libretto di Transito, I wrote this text out of a feeling of loss. A person I loved had suddenly disappeared from my life. I started writing out of pain, but the process of writing led me, as it were, to the state of being repaired. What had seemed a loss was simply a return to what is open, to what we all belong to. I realized, thanks to the eyes of a reader, that a fault line is a place of distraction and at the same time a place of beginning. Just as this happened in Iceland, in the Silfra Fissure, a strip of wonderful blue water that divides the North American continental plate from the Eurasian one. The fault line connects us with the bottomlessness of the earth. The small fault line in the chest can be the beginning of the disintegration of a body, of its disappearance, and at the same time, it can be the space of a breathing, of a possibility to be reunited with nature.
Thank you. I think that felt like listening to a lyric essay. So I feel like we've got extra loveliness in there, and there were so many lines so many sentences you were saying then, and I thought, oh, that sounds like the beginning of a poem. Or that was great. Thank you for that. And there's lots of lovely comments in the chat. Someone said, thank you, Franca, I love how you write the land into the body, and also they are approving of your hurricane lamp in the background as well. Yeah. Someone else has said, exquisite imagery, unusual combinations of words, surprising and delightful. So thank you, Franca, for that beautiful reading, and thank you for the opportunity to read your poems in English as well. It felt like a real treat. Okay, we're going to go on to the last poet, who is Maarten Inghals. I started off with all my papers in order, and I've just been throwing them about off screen, so everything's all over the place now. So Maarten Inghals lives and works in Antwerp, Belgium, where he was the city poet from 2016 to 2018. His latest book, Contact, connects poetry, visual arts and actions, and received wide critical acclaim. And Ledbury shared a fantastic video of a kind of, I think it was like a poem film this morning, which I was watching, which I thought was brilliant. The poems in this pamphlet are a sequence which experiments with the idea of identity and what makes us who we are. They're often they're often funny, sometimes outrageous, always unexpected, and I think with one of the best titles for a pamphlet. that I've come across, but I'll let Maarten announce it. So I'll hand over to Maarten now.
Thank you for these words. I think the title of the booklet is The International Society for the Official Doppelgangers of Maarten Inghals. That's the title of the booklet. And I'm going to read 3 poems out of that booklet. I start with the first one. And I'm going to read the first one in Dutch and English. I'm going to try something. De avond na mijn dood. The evening after my death. De avond na mijn dood. The evening after my death. Komen mijn dubbelgangers samen om te drinken. My doppelgangers gather to drink. En te veel aan stoelen wordt weer weggezet. The extra chairs are put away. De fles gaat een paar keer rond tegen de klok in. The bottle goes round a few times counterclockwise. Roekeloos groeien mijn dubbelgangers in hun rol. My doppelgangers grow cocky in their roles. Ze oefenen mijn loopje en half slappe handdruk. They recreate my gait and a half flaccid handshake. Ze experimenteren met mijn twijfelachtige seksualiteit. Experimenting with my dubious sexuality. Ze laten schertsend mijn accent over hun tongen rollen. Playfully permitting my accent to roll across their tongues. Ik leef in iedereen een beetje. I'm alive in each of them a bit. Mijn dubbelganger die ik in geen jaren zag, neemt het hoogste woord. A doppelganger I haven't seen in years pipes up. Die keer dat ik mijn mond bewoog en loog, that time I'd gone and moved my mouth and lied. Maar achter mij dubbelganger nummer 5 die praatjes maakte. And behind me dubbelganger nummer 5 patters away. Dubbelganger nummer 7 vond mij al zo mager. Doppelganger number 7 already thought I was so thin. Recommended I eat hamburger after hamburger after hamburger. En had mij aangeraden hamburger na hamburger na hamburger te eten. Wie nog lidgeld van het internationaal genootschap der officiële dubbelgangers van Maarten Inghals moet betalen, zwijgt. The ones who still pay membership fees to the International Society for the Official Dubbelgangers of Maarten Inghals hold their tongues. It's reassuring to see they've all put on brave faces. Iedereen houdt zich kranig, het is ontroerend om te zien hoe gevoelens worden gespiekt bij elkaar. Er loopt 1 traan, maar dat is uiteraard de schuld van een stofje. Mimicking each other's feelings. A single teardrop falls, but it's clearly from a speck of dust. De zakdoek gaat een paar keer rond tegen de klok in. De zon gaat tergend langzaam onder. The handkerchiefs goes round a few times counterclockwise. The sun sets painfully slow. My doppelgangers put my house on like a glove. Mijn dubbelgangers trekken mijn huis als een handschoen aan. Dubbelganger nummer 2 jat een dierbaar boek en stopt het onder haar trui. Niemand ziet mij in het gat in de kast. Dubbelganger nummer 2 steals a favorite book and hides it under her sweater. No one sees me through the hole in the box. Er wordt samengelegd voor een goedkope kist. Het is me duidelijk dat mijn dubbelgangers net zo gemeen en arm zijn als ik. They've thrown together for a cheap coffin. It's clear my doppelgangers are just as mean and poor as I am. The last doppelganger closes the door to my house which now breathes to a different pulse. De laatste dubbelganger doet de deur dicht van mijn huis dat nu een andere ademhaling heeft. And I noticed my video is stopped working, so I'm going to try to put it on again. And now my doppelganger is appearing, hopefully.
We can hear you great, Maarten.
You can hear me? That's the
we can
most
hear you
important
absolutely
part. I'm gonna read again one of the videos, but my video stopped working at all. Don't know what the problem is. It's funny because these poems originated out of the desire to be invisible, and now I'm invisible, but it's not. I'm going to read the second poem. The second evening after my death. The second evening after my death. The International Society for the Official Doppelgangers of Maarten Inghals is called together. This dubious coalition of the doppelgangers of Maarten Inghals has already existed for some time. Their mission is to have an exemplar ready anytime in case there is an absence due to death, sickness, holiday. One or more doppelgangers can step in. The International Society for the Official Doppelgangers of Maarten Inghals has at least 9 members. Each doppelganger represents only part of my person. A 50-year-old aerospace engineer has been my stunt butt as long as anyone can remember. A 30-year-old woman accounts for my selective memory. A brocade tabby cat bears my peculiar agility at night. This emergency meeting of the International Society for the Official Doppelgangers of Maarten Inghals is particularly chaotic. Not for any lack of enthusiasm. The last newspaper ad has drawn another crowd. But there are some concerns about one of the new candidates at the entry exam. A woman of 76 is in the running for my substitute nose. After the house is called back to order, she's allowed in after all. The doppelgangers are made uniform by a specially equipped hairdresser from the costume division of the International Society and our glasses sponsor. On the evening after my death, the membership list is verified and the work schedule filled out. Beside the original, no one is missing. The necessary certificates for doppelgangers are issued, and then the celebratory gathering is set in motion, and that's why there are only smiling faces in the group photo. I'm feeling like this is some sort of gathering of the International Society of Doppelgangers with all these little videos of you all. My video is still not working, so I'm going to read the last poem without video. And the poem is called The Fifth Evening After My Death. The fifth evening after my death, I watched Doppelganger number 3 riveting performance of me on television. He answers the questions of his conversation partner eloquently, laughing merrily in the right moments. No one notices the switch up. At the same time, Doppelganger number 8 paces the aisles of the supermarket, her knee-length skirt rustling past the wares. I'm stocking shelves with canned tomatoes. No one sees me through the hole in the shelf. They all stare at my second pair of legs. The cashier addresses her with a good evening, Maarten Inghals, and hands her loyalty points with receipt. The International Society for the Official Doppelgangers of Maarten Inghals saves up for an admissions pass for 2 to the amusement park, not combinable with other special offers. Some of my doppelgangers play me better than I play myself. I've managed to clone myself with the utmost sophistication, without help of machines, without the loss of genetic energy. I find myself in 10 places at once. I'm active on different fronts, never pressed for time. I'm visually and economically provocative. I'm appearing in different media. My doppelgangers obviously don't lack in stage fright. Meanwhile, doppelganger number 4 is driving home to penetrate my lover tenderly, while doppelganger number 6 and doppelganger number 7 watch. They caress each other softly. Having a doppelganger is nothing to be ashamed of. Thank you.
Brilliant, thank you, Martin. I love that last line, having a doppelganger is nothing to be ashamed of. I think we all want a doppelganger.
I hope so, yeah. You're all welcome to join the International Society.
Oh, become your doppelgangers.
It's not important to look like me.
That's great. So I was going to kind of ask you about where this idea for the doppelgangers came from, because there's 9 of them altogether. But I became interested. My mind is caught on that phrase that you said when your camera went wrong. You said that the sequence started as a way of disappearing. Yes. Behind the work, and then this interplay between the publicness of poetry and writing and the private. I was wondering, it's a bit of a vague kind of question that I'm throwing out there, and I feel mean, but your English is so brilliant. I'm sure you'll say something interesting.
Well, the series of poems was originated in a time I was appointed as a city poet of Antwerp. And I had to be visible at many fronts at the same time. So I needed to be, I didn't need to do a lot of performances, a lot of writing for other people. And I had the feeling that my time was running out. I was running out of time, and I was too visible. And at the same time, too many people were looking at me. So that's why I started writing this series of poems. I had the feeling that maybe I could be invisible in a group of people representing me, or and I was also quite questioning the idea of what is my identity, and who am I as a writer, and am I stealing lines of poetry from other people, or stealing from friends' lines, or just that? What is me actually? Mm-hmm. I think that, and afterwards, after I wrote this series of poems, I had the idea to actually start this group, this society. So I put out a newspaper ad. It's in my latest book of poetry. It's also a collection of visual art, and there's an ad in the book I put out in the newspaper asking for doppelgangers to join my society. And slowly, the book is already published a year or 2 ago, but slowly I'm planning to also let the society happening in real life. Last year, I asked, after a festival, I was reading these poems, and one poet was laughing so hard, I asked her she was a Dutch poet, and I asked her to be one of my official doppelgangers and to write poems in my name and publish them in literary journals without telling me. So one day I would wake up and see a literary journal or magazine and see a poem appear in my name from someone else.
You might have another. Nina Lewis has just said in the chat, you've got another 129 volunteers.
I hope so. Well, start writing my poetry.
Yeah, you can just hang up your pen and sit back and let it happen. I could talk about that all day again. We need the event to be about 3 hours long, I think, to get all the questions in. But we're going to have to wrap up here. But I thought if we could hear one more poem from each of the poets, and if we could in both languages, it would be great to have those rhythms of another language to go away with. And Chloe has just said in the chat that she can leave the meeting open for a while and people can hang around and chat. So I'm sorry we haven't had a chance to ask any more questions, but I think it'd be nicer to hear a poem to finish off. So I think we did say we're going to reverse the order, but I think maybe we go back but go in the same order as we did the first part of the reading, if that's okay. So Sigurbjörg, do you want to start, and then Paata, and then?
All right. Well, I don't know what to do, which one to take here. I was so immersed in being a listener.
Being a doppelganger.
I'll do this one with Dry Your Tears because you were talking about being political, and maybe this one became that after I wrote it because it's not brand new. It's called Við þerrum tár. Þá fara jakarnir í hungurverkfall einn ganginn enn og við þerrum óskær tár. Hér engin mannabyggð og langt á daginn liðið. We dry our tears. There go the icebergs on a hunger strike yet again, and we dry our cloudy tears. This is a lonely place, and the hour is now late.
Beautiful. Thank you. And then Peter.
Okay. Hello once again. Charity. In Georgian or just English?
In Georgian, please. Yeah.
Okay. Kvalmokhmedeba. რა შეგვიძლია გავაკეთოთ? ტოტი, რომელზეც სრულნებები გვიყვავდა, მოჭრილია. მეტაფორებსაც ვეღარ მოეჭიდები, რამე უფრო სანდო გჭირდება, ვინ დაგვიცავს სიყვარულისგან, სიკეთისგან, დანასავით მოქნეული კეთილგანწყობისგან, ვინ შეაჩერებს გამოწვეულ ხელს, როცა მშვენივრად ვიხრჩობთ ზღვაში და საკმაოდ მაცდუნებლად მობჯენილია შუბლზე ლულა, ვინ შეუყუდებს ეჭვის ბზარებს, მოულოდნელად გაჩენილ სიყვარულს, რა შეგვიძლია გავაკეთოთ, როგორ მოვიშინაუროთ ზომიერება დროის, ნიშანი მისხალ რომ გვიწონის სათქმელს. ჩვენი სხეულები გადავსებულია სათნოებით და არავინ არ ჩანს მშველელი, რა შეგვიძლია გავაკეთოთ. And English version also. Okay, charity. What can we do? The branch our temptations used to flourish on is cut off. Can't any longer cling to the metaphors. Something more reliable is needed. Who will protect us from love, from the frequent kindness, from the favors swung against us like a knife? Who will stop outstretched hand when we are perfectly drowned in the sea, or when the arm is quite seductively set against our foreheads? Who will put jealousy into suddenly emerging love? What can we do? How to domesticate moderation, a sign of time, weighing our minds thriftily. Our bodies are overwhelmed by happiness, and no one seems to save us from it. What can we do? Thank you.
Thank you. It's brilliant. And Franca.
Yes. Two very short poems from At an Hour's Sleep from Here, in Italian and with the help of Kim in English. Cucchiaio nel sonno, il corpo raccoglie la notte. Si alzano sciami sepolti nel petto, stendono ali. Quanti animali migrano in noi passandoci il cuore, sostando nella piega dell'anca, tra i rami delle costole. Quanti vorrebbero non essere noi, non restare impigliati tra i nostri contorni di umani.
A spoon in sleep, the body gathers the night. Swarms buried in our chests arise, spread their wings. How many animals migrate within us, passing through our heart, halting on the curve of a hip, among the branches of the ribs? How many would rather not be us, not be ensnared between our human contours?
Un colpo di fucile e torni a respirare. Muso a terra, senza sangue sparso. Cose guardate con la coda di un occhio che frana, mentre l'altro è già sommerso e tutto si allontana. Gli alberi si piegano su un fianco, perdono la voce in ogni foglia, che impara dagli uccelli e per pochi istanti vola.
A rifle shot, and again you breathe. Snout to the ground, no shed blood. Things watched out of the corner of an eye collapsing, while the other one is already sunk, and it all moves away. The trees bend to one side, losing their voices in every leaf that learns from the birds and for a few moments flies.
Thank you.
And thank you. And our final poet, Maarten Inghals.
Okay, as you can see, it's already dark in Antwerp. I will read the poem Ars Poetica in both Dutch and English. Ars Poetica. Het gewicht van de wereld. Poëzie. The weight of the world. Poetry. De lekkende kraan in mijn keel. Poëzie, poëzie, poëzie. The dripping tap in my throat. Poetry, poetry, poetry. Wanneer ik mij verslik in mijn slaap en hoestend wakker word. Poëzie. When I choke in my sleep and wake up coughing. Poetry. Het zwijgen tussen twee hartslagen. Poëzie. De papiersnee in mijn middelvinger. Godverdomse poëzie. The paper cut in my middle finger. Poetry. Damn it. De ballon opblazen tot zijn maximale spanning. Poëzie. Mijn geliefde weet waarin wij de komende 10 jaar op vakantie gaan. Naar poëzie. My lover knows where we're going on holiday for the next 10 years. To poetry. Wat duwt de wind in mijn rug? De poëzie of het gebrek daaraan? What chases her into my arms? The poetry or lack of it? Wanneer het regent bezoek ik de vissen. Poëzie? I visit the fish when it's raining. Poetry? Hoe mijn inkomen eruit ziet, vraagt mijn vader. Noodgedwongen. De poëzie. My father asks what my income amounts to. From necessity. Poetry. Wat hebben ze voor een appel en een ei aan het circus verkocht? De poëzie. What did they sell to the circus for next to nothing? Poetry. Europa, poëzie. Europe, poetry. Lapis lazuli, poëzie. Lapis lazuli, poetry. De maan knipoogt, geblinddoekt de poëzie. The moon wanes, stands straight, goes back to sleep. Blindfolded poetry. De eeuw geeuwt en ik ben vrij. Poëzie. The century yawns and I am free. Poetry. Wie ben jij? Vraagt u. De poëzie. Ik ben er vaker niet dan wel. Who are you? You ask. The poetry. I'm gone more often than not. Je tilt een steen op en het glipt in grote getalen weg. Poëzie. You lift the stone and it slips out from under in droves. Poetry. Wat roepen de toeschouwers luid en duidelijk wanneer ik op mijn bek ga? Poëzie. Poëzie. What does the audience shout out loud and clear whenever I stumble? Poetry. Poetry. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you, Maarten. That was fantastic. It's nice to leave the official part of the event with poetry literally ringing in our ears. I think Chloe's going to leave the meeting open a little bit longer, so that Philippa doesn't have a breakdown. Make sure you go in the chat and click on the link for the survey, because it enables Ledbury to put on more events if they get lots of great feedback back. So yeah, thank you all for coming, and can we have a proper kind of round of applause that the poets can hear, to show our appreciation for them.
Yay, thank you.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you for hosting that event, and thank you to Maarten, Paata, Sigurbjörg and Franca for the fabulous readings. I think we've all gone on a real journey. Everybody is now unmuted, so if you do have a question that you wanted to ask or anything you want to say, feel free to jump in.
Je kunt dus een seconde après. I don't want to take up much time, but I'd just love to thank all 4 of you, the 3 visible and the 1 invisible. It's been such a delight to produce these little books with you. Thank you so much. And can I ask Paata a very quick question about Georgian? Is there time? Yeah?
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, lovely. You read in Georgian with this wonderful fluency, fluidity, just rolls along very, very smoothly and beautifully. And I had the chance, which was wonderful, to find out a bit about the Georgian script when I was producing your chapbook, and learning, you know, there are no capital letters, and it all kind of rolls along. And I imagine if you're writing with a pen, you're going very, very kind of fluid, and it is a fantastically beautiful script. And I could visualize that graphic music. I could hear it as you were reading. Would you say some of that is your personal way of reading, or would you say that is a fairly Georgian way of speaking poetry with that kind of fluidity? Very beautiful, almost continuous music.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, especially to you, Glenn, because you know you edited very well, and you know I know that there were lots of things to be edited. So
Paata,
sorry about that.
Yeah, Paata, could you? Is it possible to say if that the way that you read in Georgian somehow reflects that kind of script? That's what I was, or not?
I think there are some interrelations, you know, between reading and writing, and you know, between the script and the exposure of things. Yes, I think there are some.
Because it sounds very beautiful when you read.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It could be better. I'm not very good speaker.
Brilliant.
Oh, wonderful.
Very good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. That's fabulous. And I mean, you know, it is a wonderful thing hearing these different languages, and the English has been amazing. And we're so in awe of you for speaking in English and reading your poems in English. We're so in awe of you for that. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
In that case, I'm going to end our meeting now, sadly, and say goodbye to everybody. So thank you again, Maarten, Paata, Sigurbjörg, and Franca, and Kim too, for such a wonderful event. Thank you.